Hello, hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? Hi, y'all. Lord, we got a full house today. Hi, Arlene, Esther, Robin, Silver, Tom, Lily, Jill, Katia, Bev. Wow. So how's everybody doing? Well, we moved the rig this weekend. Yeah, I got bumps and bruises. That happens. The cabinets, every time we move, the cabinets like really get stiff, and so does the doors. So I have bruised my knuckles pretty bad. Yeah, it hurts. They got magnets in there, and the strongest magnets I ever seen. If I had magnets like that for purposes other than the cabinet doors, I'd be all right. Glad to see you. So, everybody ready for today's class? Yeah, I got my coffee today too. Hey, Fred. How you doing, Fred? Happy Monday. Did everybody have a good Easter? Did y'all trick or treat? Or trick or treat. Listen to me. Did y'all hunt Easter eggs? I didn't hunt no Easter eggs. Didn't see no Easter bunnies either along the way. Although we do have deer where we're at. So. Today is going to be more like a lecture class. Did everybody get the standardized tatting pattern notation form? Hi, Steph. Hi, Carol. Hi, Robin. Margaret. Y'all need to download that either to your computer today or download a printed copy, because that's what we're going to be looking at today. I want to go over some of the terms used in tatting. Where am I? I am still in Florida. And this is the last 3 weeks of the stretch in Florida. We are changing our residency over to Florida. Over the weekend, we got the insurance changed. We got bank account changed. This week, I've got to get a doctor, a vet, and something else. And then the registration and the driver's licenses. Those have to be changed over. And all of that has to be done so that I can have residency here but live in my RV and travel. So, yeah. It's a process. It's weird. Florida, South Dakota, and Texas are the only 3 states that recognize mail forwarding services as a home base, which is weird because snowbirds, as they call them, that move to Florida, that live in RVs, they actually go to RV parks and set up housekeeping during the winter months. And a lot of them have pulled out of the parks and moved on and started their travels for the season, because they move out in the late spring, early to late spring, and they head north because it's cooler up north. Well, right now it's like 83 degrees here, and the humidity is really, really high. We've got a high UV index. So don't go out and try to sunbathe. You get cancer if you do. But we've got 3 AC units on our rig, so it keeps it pretty cool. But for those that only have 2 AC units, they're barbecuing right now inside their campers because it's stifling hot. If you go outside the door, it will take your breath. It's because the humidity is so high. Hey, Jeremy. Oh, you're in Florida too. Cool. Where'd you move at? You didn't get the email for Friday class? We didn't have class on Friday. Oh, wait a minute. No, Sue had class on Friday. Yeah, that was my flub up. I thought I had sent it, Ann. Yeah, I was packing the rig and my mind wasn't with it because we was pulling out on Saturday. And yeah, that was my flub up. I apologize. Hopefully I can get it into routine again. Hi, Linda. Glad to see you too. But yeah, that was a flub up. But here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to put on that, there's a notification bell. Click it. Once you click that notification bell, when we go live, it's going to notify you and let you know what time the live class is. So, that's one way to get notified. Last week's homework for beginners class. I cannot remember. Pam, do you know what last week's? Teaching 2 classes a week is rough, and I'm trying to keep up with both classes plus Sue's. Let me go check and see real quick. Yeah, it's an issue. It's called getting old. It sucks. I didn't say that, y'all. You're only as old as your mind will allow you to be, and your body says, that's how old you are. I'm going to get you last week's homework here. For beginner class, what did we do? Had a ring and a chain showing an up joint and a ring and a chain showing the down joint. That was your homework last week. So, there you go. Yeah, the moving is okay. It's just, we have 2 GPS systems. One is for the RV, and we have to tell it how big our RV is so that it doesn't take us where there's an overpass we can't go under. Because you'd be surprised how many short overpasses there are, and it will rip the whole top of your camper off. I mean, seriously. And then we have the GPS that goes with the truck. And the difference between the 2 is one tells you where you can go with the rig, the other one tells you where you can go. Well, most times the 2 work hand in hand. Yesterday, they both were messed up. And come to find out, we had what is it called? Sunspots or something, sun flares. And it played havoc with the GPS. And it kept saying up here on the right, you turn. Well, we was looking for it on the right, past it was on the left. So we had to go up and do a U-E and come back. And that's hard to do with a 40-foot trailer. I will not lie. You got to find a big enough place to turn around in, and it's Easter Sunday. A church parking lot would have been perfect if it wasn't Easter services. And the first time people could get together for Easter services, man, every church parking lot was packed cram full. Grocery stores and stuff are hard to find that you can pull around in because most of them have the concrete barriers and stuff that you've got to maneuver around. And yeah, that's not easy. And not easy. But we're still learning. It's still new. There'll come a time he can probably put this thing between 2 pine trees with an inch on each side. I'm just saying. It's possible. Funnier things have happened. All right, so let's get on with today's class. First of all, we're going to learn some terms. All right, so it's mostly going to be lecture type thing, not show and tell today. Also, an announcement. Phyllis is not going to be able to join us for class next week on the pineapple. I'm going to announce this in both classes this week, today and tomorrow. She has somewhere she has to be. So, we're going to put it off until the next week. And we're going, not the pineapple. Lord have mercy, where did my brain go? Come back here. Phyllis donated a pattern that shows the node stitch, Victorian sets. Yes, I'm on track. Okay, her pattern was supposed to be next week. She's not going to be able to be here. So it's going to be the next week. We're doing the pineapple pattern next week. Yeah, I'll get it together eventually. As soon as I can get my brain to cooperate with my mouth, we'll be all right. Kendra, I love it. Give me 40 acres. I'll turn this truck around. Hey, listen, I've sit here and I've watched him put this rig in spaces that I would have said, no, just go on. Yeah, seriously. I don't drive it because I have a fear of this big monstrosity. Okay, and when he puts on the brakes, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this thing chucks and it goes pop, 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 pop. When it does that, I'm just like, white knuckle, is it coming in through the back glass? You know, it's funny. It is funny. And my sons, they both drive, my two youngest sons, they both drive 18 wheelers. And they're like, Mom, it's a breeze. I'm like, yeah, no, no, just saying, no. But I do help him back in. I tell him which way to point the rig. I can't tell him which way to turn the wheel. And I have to tell him, I want the rig to go that way or I want the rig to go that way to get it into the parking space. But when they're tight, I will go get somebody to help him because I can't communicate what he needs to know because I don't even know what he needs to know, and they do. So it's a learning phase. But it's fun. It's fun. It's quite comical when I'm trying to tell him, yeah, I'm over on this side of the campground. You're going the other way. You need to come back this way towards me. And he said, I'm coming towards you. No, you're not. You're going the other way. So, yeah, it can get funny. It really can get funny. So, but he did take training and everything to drive it. And I trust him. It's just, I'm leery. It's because it's so huge. I mean, when you come from a Kia Soul to something this big, yeah, that's kind of scary. I did trade my Soul off and I got me a Telluride and drove it once to Frankfort, Kentucky, and I owed them for 3 flower beds. I will not say anymore. Okay, 3 flower beds. So there you go. That's your funny for today. All right, let's get on with it. Kendra, that's fine. You'll be able to watch it on video after class. The chat will be there and everything. I'll leave the chat with it, all right? So you can just watch it then. Hi, Sue. Glad you made it. That's okay, Susan. That's okay. We got it under control. No problem. All right. Terms. Let's talk terms. Anybody here know what line of progression means? Does anybody know what that means? I'll wait for a show of hands. Now, you professed tatters, like Arlene and Aurora, y'all know what that is. Sue knows what it is. Pam knows what it is. There's several in here, Nanetta, that know what it is. I'm talking to the new students. Do you all know what line of progression means? Savita says no. Odds are most of you don't that are beginners. Line of progression is the progression of your work. If you are right-handed, okay, then your work is going to move in the direction of the right hand. Your rings and chains are going to flow to the right. If you are left-handed, your tatting is going to flow to the left. And that's your line of progression. It's whatever hand you go. Okay? Now, if you're right-handed, you're ambidextrous, and you choose to tat with your left hand, yeah, your line of progression is going to flow different. Okay? It depends on what your main direction is with your tatting. So, you got a ring and a chain and you're going around this way, your line of progression is to the right. If your ring and chains flow to the left, your line of progression is to the left. Now, there are left-handed tatters that write patterns. Oh, boy, is that confusing to some. They think that because they are a left-handed tatter, that it throws the whole pattern off. It does to a certain extent. Line of progression, remember, is to the left for a left-handed tatter. However, if you reverse that pattern, the line of progression would be to the right. And we'll get more in depth in that later on. Okay, that is something that is an intermediate thing. Right now, you need to know your line of progression is based on if you are a right-handed tatter, your line of progression is going to go to the right. It's the direction, the flow of your pattern. Okay? If you're a left-handed tatter, the line of progression is the flow of the pattern to the left. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, Linda, that you got it. It's the progression of your project in the direction. Okay? If you're right-handed, it's going to go to the right. If you're left-handed, it's going to go to the left. Because as tatters, we work in rounds. Okay, everything's done in a round or in a chain. Straight line. If you follow in a straight line, then your pattern, right-handed, it's going to go to the right. Whereas if you're left-handed, it's going to go to the left. You're here to learn how to teach, Nanetta. Nanetta, I have to say, you know how to teach. I've seen your videos. They are awesome. And folks, check them out. Seriously. Nanetta has some really awesome videos. All you got to do is watch what she's doing. You don't need no words. Just watch what she's doing. Because she has some really, really good videos on some really, really hard techniques. So as you progress, make sure you bookmark her. She's a good one to follow. All right? So, no questions on line of progression. Has everybody got it? I'll give it a few minutes. I want any questions. All right, Dorothy. She's a lefty, right, Dorothy? I'll tell you a little trick. Okay? If you're going to print that pattern, you can flip that pattern in your print program to print it opposite. Okay? Rotate it counterclockwise or clockwise, either way, and you flip it. Okay? So you can flip it in your print program. Exactly, Fred. You got it. Nailed it. All right. Now, let's move on. Does everybody know what RW means in a pattern? Kendra, that most people do. Most people do. They go with what's feeling comfortable to them. And you're ambidextrous, so therefore, you got the best of both worlds. So, right, Silver. Right. I never knew you was a lefty tatter, Fred. Learn something new every day. 62 years old, learn something new about Fred. That's cool. Right, Katia. It is reverse work. When you reverse your work, what does that mean? Anybody know what reversing your work means? I'm going to show you right here. Okay? Now, yeah, this is something I'm working on. I'm making curtains. Well, I made curtains for my windows in the bedroom. And this is the trim because my bedspread has these two colors in it. Can y'all see that? Okay. When you reverse your work, this is the top of your work and this is the bottom of your work. You reverse your work, the top becomes bottom, bottom becomes top. That is what reverse work means. Okay? Right. You flip it upside down, basically, but you reverse your work. Okay? You go up, down, down, up. Okay? And you do that between what? Most people call them rings and chains, right? But they're actually elements. A ring is an element, and a chain is an element. That is another term you're going to hear, the element. Okay, so each thing you create, a clover is an element. Okay, a clover is 3 rings together or 4 rings together. It can be 5 rings together. Okay, and then you have 2 chains that come in. You got one that comes up and one that comes up this way. Okay, so you attach your rings and then you come out. That is a clover. Rods is reverse order of double stitches, and that is commonly used in split rings, split chains, front side, back side tatting. So there's where rods comes in. Okay, you don't have to use rods on just regular tatting, but you do have to use it to do a split ring. You do have to use rods to do a split chain. Otherwise, it's not going to work out and look like it should. Okay? All right. So, we've got reverse work. What about turner work? What do y'all know about turning your work? Anybody know what turning your work means? And these are simple terms that you're going to run across in patterns. Yeah, purl tatting is another technique. That is a technique, not a element. We'll get into purl tatting in intermediate class. Flip it horizontally left to right. Okay. Yeah, you're right, Silver. Yeah, turning the work like a page of a book. Turn means you're going to turn it over like this. And the reason you would turn it like this is because you want to stay on the same playing field. Okay? I'm trying to think of an instant you would use it. Usually turning your work, just it comes naturally. Okay, to some. They see that it needs to be done. An experienced tatter knows when to do it. But turning your work, I'm trying to think. Yeah, you do it in needle tatting. You do a lot of turning your work in needle tatting, but I'm trying to think in shuttle tatting, when would you turn your work in a pattern? I'm trying to think, and I'm drawing a blank, folks. I am. Sue, Aurora, Nanetta, any of you all think of where it would come that you would use turning the work in a pattern? I'm just drawing a blank. If y'all can think of something, just throw it out there. But it is turning your work from left to right or right to left. Okay, like the pages of a book. Okay. The next thing is rotating your work. You rotate your work counterclockwise or clockwise, a quarter turn. Okay? That's all you do. It's a quarter turn. So what you're going to do, let me show you using this sample. Would this be in a join to a previous round? It could be. It could be. I'm just trying to think. I'm just really drawing a blank, and don't ask me why. Block tatting. Thank you. Nanetta's got it. Block tatting. You turn your work. Okay. Thank you, Nanetta. Yeah, I need to dust my brain a little bit. I think I got some cobwebs up there. All right. Now, when rotating our work, this is the line of progression. You're going to turn it counterclockwise, a quarter turn. Turn it the other way is clockwise, a quarter turn. In your pattern, it will tell you, turn your work, rotate your work, reverse your work. And the notation will be RW for reverse work. Rotate work 9 times out of 10 will be spelled out, because if you put RW, people are going to think reverse work, okay, because that is the common denominator. All right, so using that analogy, turn work, they could use TW, but they're going to spell it out for you. All right, reverse work will be the only one you will see abbreviated in most cases. Okay, so that helps you get the basics of those terms, because those are really, really common terms found in patterns. All right, the next thing, when they're repeating lines in a pattern, like the pattern says you're going to tatter a chain of 4 picot, 4 picot, 4 picot, 4, okay, or it says 4 picots separated by 3, and they want you to repeat that on a chain or a ring several times consecutively, okay, to save writing out this long, lengthy pattern. They're going to use an asterisk, okay, it's like a little star thing. You're going to see that in patterns, especially your newer patterns. The older patterns, not so much. They actually take you step by step by step by step in the older patterns. Okay, this is new annotations over time that have been picked up along the way. Okay, so you will see that in patterns. A good pattern writer, I would say, would be, I know you all know her, Monique Biggs. She uses those little asterisks. Harala, she uses the asterisks. There are several tatters that use them. Jane Everall, she uses them. Sue Hansen uses them. Aurora, she uses them. Nanetta, she uses them. They all use the same asterisk as, you know, do it again, do it again, do it again. And it'll say how many times to do it again. That's the little star thing. When they're working with beads, they will have BBB, B+, okay? And these all have different meanings, and you need to know these meanings. If it says B+, that means put the bead on the picot before joining, okay? And we will get into that in intermediate class, okay? So I'm not going to dig too deep in the bead part, but I want you to be aware of what the letter B means. That means bead, okay? Wherever it's used, it's beads. Now, you're going to come across a BTS. That means bare thread space. In mignonette tatting, that is very common, because you're going to have a gap of bare thread, because you're only working with one shuttle. And I will teach you how to measure that bare thread space using a Post-it note, okay? That is the easiest way on earth to measure your bare thread space and get it right every time, okay? Because when you're tatting in mignonette, it's like a net stitch. When you're tatting, doing that, you want that bare thread space even throughout, or your whole pattern is going to be off, okay? You're going to learn that. All right, what's CH mean? I know y'all know this. Y'all have to know this. You're beginners, but you've tatted just enough to know what a CH is. Give it a few more minutes. Let's see. Do y'all know what a CH is? CH is, think about this, right, Katia? It's a chain. It's an abbreviation for a chain. Okay, that's the chain right there. All right. What about CTM? Do y'all know what a CTM is? Y'all are on it today. Of course, you got your little cheat sheet. See how much it helps? And if you run across a notation that's not on here, ask that designer what it is, because each designer will pick up their own annotations. Okay? Everybody's getting it. Everybody's getting it. All right, you know what a P is in a pattern. The letter P. Yeah, Silver. You got it. Continuous thread method. If it calls for continuous thread method, you're either working with two shuttles conjoined, okay, continuous, or a shuttle and a ball. So it's going to be an easy, easy, easy pattern, okay? So if you see the letter P, that is a picot. That is the bare thread that makes the pretty curlicues, and in this pattern, that's picots right here. See, they're making little flowers right there. All right, that's your picots. So P is for picot. Another way a picot is defined is a dash. Now, one dash is usually a small picot. Two dashes means it's a little bigger. Three dashes, it's a little bigger. If they have precise measurements for those picots, they will list it in the directions. When you get a pattern, every pattern should have at the top an index, sort of, that says this is the annotations I have used, or definitions, whatever. They may call it 15 different names. It's the same thing, all right? And it'll say P is for picot, or this dash is a small picot. Two dashes is a medium picot, three dashes is a large picot, so forth and so on. Or they'll say the dash is a 1/4 inch picot or an 1/8 inch picot. That means those picots have to be measured for a purpose. Usually it's because it's a join, and to get the pattern to lay like it's supposed to, you need that measured picot. Remember that. If you put a piece in for competition at a county fair or state fair, or you're taking the exams to get your master's degree in tatting, you will need to measure those picots, because yeah, they're going to sit there and they're going to measure every one of those picots. Okay, so keep that in mind. That is why I stress have a measured picot gauge. Okay, because it has to be the same throughout. If you're doing it for one of those reasons, for your exams, for a county fair, a state fair, any kind of competition. All right? So make sure you have a picot gauge. Okay. Now, LJ. What is that? We're going to study an LJ next week. Okay? We're going to show you the LJ next week. I would do it this week. I was supposed to teach you Catherine Will Join, but I don't know if y'all can see it on camera. You see the bruise? I don't know if I fractured that knuckle or what. Man, that sucker hurts. And it's shooting pain all the way up my arm. So yeah, I'm going to get that x-rayed when I go to the doctor's. So, and let him look at it. They can't do anything but take their fingers up. But I can still tat. Don't think I can. All right, now, JK, LK, those are joins. Okay, or LJ is a join. LJ is a lock join. Okay, JK is a Josephine ring. Let's see, a mock picot, MP, you'll see that in your patterns. That will come up. Okay, a mock ring. That's another that'll come up. Guess who does the mock ring and doesn't even know that they're doing a mock ring? They do it every single time they tat. Needle tatters. You all use a mock ring unless you're doing the true ring. The true ring was developed, I believe, Barb Foster or Jeanette Baker, I can't remember, but one of them developed the true ring, awesome. It's the closest thing to a tatted ring by a shuttle. Okay? And that's why a true ring is very hard to distinguish that it's needle tatted. You really got to look at it. Okay? Right, Robin. Needle tatters use that. All right, let's see. What about self-closing mock ring? Is that the same thing as a mock ring? Let's think about that, folks. Is it the same thing? Because you're going to see both. You're going to see an MR or a SCMR. So are they the same? Deb, you're just right on time. Never too late. So, what do you think? Is a mock ring and a self-closing mock ring the same thing? It's a trick question, folks. Trick question. Right, Katia, it is the same thing. The problem with tatting directions, there is no set rule to tatting directions. And that's why we have 15 names for one technique, because there's not a set rule. Okay? So what I like to do is go through, if you watched any of my videos, you'll hear me go through the laundry list. This is also called da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's to make it simpler. I remember when I was a beginner and I would get a pattern, I'm like, oh, I'm so anxious, I want to do this. And I would get in there and I'd start messing with it. And it's like, I've never seen this before. What is this? Only to find out it's the same thing I had already learned. So at that point, I had a discussion with Georgia, and she said, a lot of techniques, they're named different, but they're the same thing. It just depends on who come out with it. You know, they may have changed a little bit. So, you know, just to make it their own unique way of doing it. That's why I have a video for like 6 different ways to do a split ring. It's because everybody develops their own way of doing it. And that's what makes tatting fun and an experience all in the same breath. Because you have to familiarize yourself with so much so you can recognize it as it is. Do you understand that? Because, all right, the balanced double stitch. There's an argument behind that I'm not going to get into. But there are 2 ways to do it. And there's 2 creators of the 2 ways. And they are so closely similar. Your creative problems. Okay? So you can call it a balanced double stitch, or you can call it a balanced double stitch. Your choice. It's the same thing. Okay? You can do a split ring. You can do a conventional split ring. You can do a high 5 method. You can do the flip over method. The 15 ways you can do a split ring. But they each have their own little name. Okay? And as you get more professed in tatting, you will learn the 15 different names. I will be sure you learn them. Okay? Because it confuses a new tatter. The new technique name. Okay? So, let's see. Give me the initials for Shoelace Trick. Yes, they came in the email, Lily. They were in the email, and all you got to do is click on that link and print it out. And I think Sue was working on getting the line of progression and reverse work handout. She was in the process of getting it up on the site. Right. You got it right, SLT. Shoelace trick. Remember? Shoelace trick is just tying the first part of tying your shoes. You put on a pair of tennis shoes, you flip that thread around, and you tie. Then you work on your bow. Well, the shoelace trick is the first part of tying your shoes. Okay, and what that does is I've got 2 different colors of thread. I got a gray and a blue. Now, on this pattern, my chains are a gray, my flowers are blue. Okay, say I want to change my chains to gray, or to blue, and the flowers to gray. I would use the shoelace trick to change those two colors and put my working thread on top as the color I need. And that's where the shoelace trick is used mainly. Yes, it's used a lot in needle tatting. Another place you can use it, I got this much thread on one shuttle. I got a whole lot on the other shuttle. I got one ring to do in this pattern and a chain to finish it out. Man, you can shoelace the trick that all the way to the end of that pattern and use your thread from your other shuttle. Okay? So yeah, it can be a lifesaver in a tight situation. And folks, I'm here to tell you I have done that doing a pattern, needed maybe a foot of thread, maybe, to finish this pattern out on the other shuttle. But I had plenty of thread on the other shuttle. I just shoelace tricked it. I did the ring, shoelace tricked it, did the chain. Shoelace tricked it, did the ring. Shoelace tricked it, did the chain. And I used up the thread on the other shuttle and finished the piece. And it saved me from having to tie in ends that late in the game that could over time work themselves out. It saved me from having to wrap another, you got it, thread chicken, Jill, okay? It saved me from having to wrap another shuttle up with thread and then having two shuttles full of thread that I don't need it anymore. You know, so it can save you. Shoelace trick can save you and it can make you. All right? So that is a good one. Let's see. Trying to stick with ones for new tatters. All right, you'll see a CL or a CR in a pattern. I've run across a couple of patterns that had a CR in it. What could that mean? As a new tatter, you'll need to know this because you'll run across patterns that have these terms in them. So think about it. CL or CR? You got it, Katia. Close ring. That's what it means. And, you know, some tatters use that and some don't. And, you know, it's up to the designer if they do or not. Most times, if you're making a ring, you're supposed to close it. However, to every rule, there is a way to break it. Okay? One of the ways to break closed ring is there is a ring that has a gap of bare thread space at the bottom. Okay? And it is found in many of the older patterns. All right? So yeah, for every rule, there's a way to break it. Just keep that in mind. Man, you are all on it. A split ring, Linda, is SR. CR is closed ring or CL is closed ring. It depends on the designer. I've seen it both ways. All right. Now, let's see. What else? What's an R? You see that in your patterns? What's an R? I mean, that's as easy as it can get. Yeah, I have too, Arlene. I mean, there is many facets people use to define, you know, different things. Yeah. Right, Janella? A ring. Something so simple, a ring. That's okay. Mine's been misfiring all day, Linda. I'm glad we're on the same page. That made my day. Okay. Any questions about any of these notations? Now, we also have on here symbols that people use. Okay? Now, it's basically designer specific. Okay? Now, I have favorite designers that I love tatting their patterns. I mean, they're just smooth as silk, no bumps in the road, no questions. Joelle Paulson writes some beautiful patterns. Okay? I can follow her patterns to a T. Every one of them will work out, and every one of them will lay flat. If it's a doily, it all works. Okay? Then you have some tatters that will design a pattern and forget to tell you, well, you need to do this size picot, or you need to check this, or you need to do this. And then you get this pattern that cups up and you ended up with a candy dish. Okay? And as Arlene did, she had one that jumped up on her and she just made a bun cover with it. All right? So see, it's not lost. It's not gone. She just had to change what she was going to use it for. Also, another thing, food for thought, if you're using size 40 thread and the pattern calls for size 20 thread, what do you think is going to happen? You would think the thread size wouldn't matter. In crochet, chances are it doesn't. Knitting, chances are it doesn't. But in tatting, it does. Because you're wrapping that thread over a core. Okay? Can you have a list of my favorites? I'll tell you the best one I ever followed was Renelec. Okay? And she does share her patterns on Facebook and on her page. She also has an Etsy shop. I like large doilies and I like patterns that are huge. The reason I do is because I can get into a rhythm with them. Okay? The small tats I do, but I'm not really in love with them. I like the bigger tats. Something that I made this, you know? And most of what I make, I give away. I don't keep what I make. Okay? So, yeah, I'll get a list together. I can give you an arm long full of pattern people that I love their patterns, and they are easy. Harala, her patterns are very easy to do, and she is very detailed in her instruction. Okay? But if you change that pattern on your size thread up or down, you will have to more than likely change your picot size and your stitch count. And that is not against the law. You're not violating copyright when you do that. You're accommodating that pattern for your thread. However, if you change that pattern, okay, and you have to add stitches to it, that is not your pattern. The pattern still belongs to that designer. Just because you added a couple more double stitch does not change that pattern. You have to change that pattern. The new law stipulates it has to be changed by 50%, or it is still under copyright law. That's a lot of change when it comes to a tatting pattern. They're saying it cannot resemble that original pattern at all. And you think, how do you do that with one double stitch? Oh, honey, it's how you manipulate that double stitch and how you manipulate that thread. Sue will teach you how to do that so you can design your own things. When I make a design, it's out of purpose and need. And that is what most designers will do. They will design out of purpose and need. Then you have your avid designers that make all these beautiful books for us to play with. Okay? Those designers are the kings of the realm. Okay? because they're out there. They're doing this for a living, basically. They're actual artists. So don't tread on their work and claim it as yours. Please don't do that. We don't allow it. We won't allow it. Our designers are our friends. Okay, remember that. All right, Kathleen. Great. Love the list idea. I'll put my list up there. I'll get it together and I'll give it to Sue and she can put it up on the website. Because, you know, I do have my favorite designers. I've got designers I respect. Now, as far as their work, it's impeccable. But I think their design code needs to be changed. And what I mean by that is they don't use our terms. They use their own language, or they miss a step, or, you know, they got a lot of problems with their pattern, and you got to work out the glitches, okay? Most of those tatters are foreign tatters, and it's because they don't speak our language, okay? And they have their own language. Nanetta and Aurora both can tell you tatting language in their countries are different than what it is here. Okay? Because they have different terms that they use versus the terms we use. And it's because it's a language barrier. You know? Silver says she did a motif in size 20 in a size 3 thread to make it into a coaster, and it was a little wonky. Yeah, that's what happens. So remember, Pam said thread size always matters in tatting, knit, and crochet. I did not know that crochet and knitting. I'm not a crocheter. I'm definitely not a knitter. My mom gave me knitting needles. I said, what am I supposed to do with this? Make skewers? You know? So, yeah, and we are going to put together a list. It will be up on the website. We're going to have a list for YouTubers. We are going to have a list of websites. When we get through with our site, and hopefully this summer we're going to make a lot of progress on it, you're going to be able to go there. You're going to be able to buy your tatting supplies, watch a video, learn to tat, come to class, be prepared. Okay? You are going to have a resource for all information that you could possibly want. And that is what Georgia wants. A location for all the information you might need. So you can continue tatting and keep it going forward. Who wants to get on the web and go, well, I want to learn how to do this. Now, where do I go? We're going to have the directions for where you need to go. We're going to give you the roadmap. All you got to do is crawl in there and just start punching your little mouse and go to town. So what do you think of that? We're working on it. We hope to have one of the best tatting sites around that has every tatting site listed, whether it be a YouTube site or a web space. We're hoping to get that done. Yeah, authors do give a choice of thread size, and usually those authors that have the choice of thread size, Jill, those are not the more technically challenged patterns. They're the easier patterns, and it's because the easier the pattern, the better it is to accommodate the different sized threads. Okay, you get just a ring and chain pattern, it's going to work. Okay, because most ring and chain patterns, your tension is not as tight as the more difficult technique patterns, because you're sitting there and you're trying to do this technique and you don't realize the pull you've got on that thread. Exactly, Katia. Oh, thank you, Sue. We do this for you all. We really do. I mean, I promised Georgia I would do the best I could do and get all this information together for her. And, you know, I respect that woman like you all would not believe. I mean, she taught me everything I know And she taught me patience in a major way. And most people have heard the story of the cardinal. And I got news for you. That taught me patience in tatting. I was like most beginners. I want to run. I don't want to walk. I don't want to crawl. I want to run. I want to do this big Jan Doily right now. Yeah, she tamed that. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. Is there any questions, folks? I'm sorry we didn't get into the Catherine will join and stuff today, but like I said, I hit that knuckle and man, does it hurt. I am not going to lie. More than likely, I just either jammed it up or cracked the knuckle real good because it's bruised. It's bruised deep. So, it been bothering me for a while, but man, I hit it and now it's hurting clean through to the other side. Katia, that would be awesome. If you could send that to Palmetto's, they would love to be able to add that to their new work that they're doing. They're updating this list. Tell the Robin story. You mean the Cardinal story? Okay, Georgia put out a call for Cardinals. I don't know what she was going to do with them. I was a newbie. I was brave. I stepped out on that limb. And she says, I need 150 of them. I said, well, I'll volunteer to do 25. Well, I did the 25. And then she said she needed more, so I did some more. She said she needed some more, and I did some more. And I told her, I said, that last bit, you're lucky you even got a cardinal, because it's going away. I shredded the pattern. I still had it on my computer, but I shredded the pattern. The last cardinal didn't even look like a cardinal, and I told her, I said, I apologize. I have not seen those cardinals on whatever project she was working on yet. But what she taught me with that was patience. With patience, you learn. And with pacing yourself, you learn. And you have to have patience to pace yourself. And Georgia taught me that. And it was a very valuable lesson because it applies in a lot of things in life. Okay? She is an inspirational woman that carries inspiration in every aspect through tatting. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, all right. Yeah, I want everybody to practice. That's your homework this week. Just practice. And we'll do the Catherine will join and stuff like that. But for what I would like to know, I want you all to take 3 terms off this sheet and tell me where you think it would be useful in a pattern. Okay? And that will tie in to what Sue will teach you in design class. Okay? Down the road. I don't know what she's getting into. But that will tie in Sue's class on design. Because these are things you need to know to be a designer. Okay? So when you learn to read a pattern, you're also learning design, basically. Because the designers use these terms. You got me? All right. So give a like. Give a thumbs up. Everybody give me a thumbs up on it. Helps the algorithm, helps the classes grow. The more students we get, the more designers we get, the more inspiration we get, and it's all good. All right? So, I will see you intermediates, and you beginners, you can come visit. Not a problem. Come see us tomorrow. All right? We'll get into some nitty-gritty tomorrow. Hopefully the finger won't hurt tomorrow. I'm going to ice it up tonight. Okay, Sue's asking a question how tight she should make the double stitches. Okay, what I like to do is pull those double stitches in my fingers in the pinch, okay? And you just pull them to where they're comfortable. All right? You will gauge your own tension with time, Sue. All right? But we could get into that tomorrow in intermediate class. But I'm going to ice my finger today, the rest of the day, and let it just sit here and just take a chill pill because it's like really huge. Of all fingers, let me tell you, that is not one you want to mess up. Because everybody looks at you kind of funny when you run around and it's sticking out there. So, anyway, I want y'all to have a wonderful day today. All right? And I will see you tomorrow in class, 3 o'clock, same time, same channel. Just different link. All right? Until then, happy tatting. May all of your thread make beautiful lace. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.